So some of the programs I am involved with, I did not start, but I definitely help out with. Others I have done myself in collaboration with others. So we'll be going over a few of those programs. Um, the first one I'd like to highlight is Mariachi STEAM Camp. So Mariachi STEAM Camp, and I'll bring up our website here. So Mariachi STEAM, this is our Instagram account. And this program was started by um, a lady who works out at Intel. She had her son that was into music, and she uh, was at a farmer's market, and she saw a group of students playing mariachi music. And she talked to the instructor. This right here is Dan Bosshart, who was leading that group. And they got to conversing and seeing if they could start some type of a mariachi STEAM camp. So STEAM standing for science, technology, engineering, art, and math. Heavy emphasis on the arts, which is the draw for these students. So these kids are very much interested in mariachi music and Mexican culture. And so they started approximately, I believe it was 6 or 7 years ago, and coordinated with our Washington County 4-H program, and we run it through our 4-H program and extension. So for this camp, we actually bring about 20 to 25 Latino Hispanic youth to campus for a whole week of summer camp. Now, the draw is the music and the culture, but once we have them on campus, we expose them to everything in terms of science, technology, and engineering and math behind the music. So if you can see in this photo right here, we're teaching them about sampling, how our sounds produce, what are waveforms, using computers to create mariachi music and synthesizers. They also have a social aspect. So they get to experience the college life. They sleep in the dorms, they eat cafeterias, and we have programming for them, practicing twice a day in the mornings and the afternoons, mariachi music, learning about the history of mariachi music, but then also learning about the science and having college preparedness classes, how to work on your resume, how to set up a LinkedIn profile, how to give your elevator speech, and do networking and a bunch of professional development. So this is one of the volunteers from Intel who also helps out, Richard. Romana Flores is this lady right here. She's the one that started the camp. And I met them at an award ceremony. They were getting an award after they had been 2 or 3 years. And I said, how can I help? Because this is my culture. This is my background. I'm a multi-instrumentalist, very proud of my Mexican heritage, fully bicultural, bilingual, and I wanted to be involved with this. So the next year I helped out. I taught guitar for that year. And the year after that, I taught trumpet. Trumpet was my main instrument when I was in high school. So I absolutely loved engaging with these students. At the end of the camp, they do a performance and they play in front of an audience. A couple of years we have actually played for the baseball team, the national anthem, prior to the start of the game, and we do a concert before the start of the game. So that's been great. This past year, we met at Linfield University, so not at Oregon State University, just to give them a slightly different experience at a different university. Looks like next year we're going to be doing that again. And that's actually closer to where most of these youth come from, which is the northeast part of the state, Forest Grove, Hillsborough, Beaverton area, although we have had some kids from like Eugene and Clackamas attend. And what's been great is that a lot of these students have actually progressed through the whole program. They start and they come back year after year. And some of them have actually gone on to university, graduated, and come back as mentors and instructors. So Miguel here, this is, I believe, his second year. He was there 4 years. When he graduated from high school, he went into the Marines, but every year he comes back and he helps out with the trumpet section. So he's my assistant with the trumpets. Let's see. And right here, let me give you an example of what the music sounds like. So that young lady actually also graduated from college recently, and this year she came back and helped out with the violin section. You're in the group. One cool thing we have about this camp is we always have a camp T-shirt that is designed by the camp director, who originally wanted to be a graphic designer, but she went into technology and now works at Intel. But she loves designing the T-shirts, and that's a big part of the camp. So all the students are in this particular one are wearing the red shirts, and then the blue shirts are the co-peers or near peers who are not in high school anymore. They're in college and they're helping out with the group. This was 2019. So you can see some of the dorms in the background where the kids stayed at. Here they are touring one of the robotics labs that we have. And that's Cassie, the bipedal robot. So we take them around and tour. And we have some competitions, such as this engineering competition, which was building a catapult. And that one was not very successful. They broke that. That was pretty fun. Some of the other kids were able to launch their paper pieces. Here's another way that we integrate the STEM into the arts. So this was a 3D printer printing guitar picks, and they were able to design the picks in a CAD program and have that printed and learn how to do that. So let me take you to Mariachi Steam. This is the website. mariachisteam.com, and I'll post this also in the chat. There you go. We have Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Hasn't been very, very active lately, especially about the pandemics. It's about us. Here's Romana Flores as the director, along with Richard, who's also from Intel. And we've had a couple of other Intel folks that helped out. Leslie Nunez and Dan Bossart are music teachers out in the Forest Grove, Hillsborough area. Dan, unfortunately, is not a music teacher anymore. That's me right there with a group of students. We actually did a music video in Spanish from one of my drone songs based on La Bamba. And it was called Yo Vuelo Mi Drone. I might show that a little bit later if we have somewhere. This is one of our Intel instructors talking about sound waves and the engineering behind that, how they get reflected from different types of surfaces. And here is the kids practicing as a group. We also do sections. A really cool thing about this is that 98% of the faculty and staff and near peers, graduate students who are involved with this camp as volunteers or leading the camp identify as Latino Hispanic. Most of us are bilingual, and I think that's probably the most important aspect of this program, besides doing all the STEAM projects and the curriculum. It's just being able to have youth see themselves in the adults, in the near peers who are helping with them, and seeing how they too can be in those successful positions at some time. That's one of our professors who's Hispanic. And one of the activities they did one year was actually go out in on one of our research vessels and played some of their instruments into the water in a microphone that got into a speaker underwater, and then received that via another sensor that was able to pick that up and see how sound travels underneath water. And they learned about sonar. So all kinds of really cool STEM activities. I'll show you another. And feel free to ask questions at any time. I hate to be just lecturing, but let me show you some of the other projects we have here. Music plus Mass. They learn about digitally recorded music files. Dr. Cotilla Sanchez, which is a professor I showed you there, was talking to them about the math behind filters and digitization. They've created musical greeting cards. This project right here was actually using an Arduino to play mariachi music. So depending, they had these contact points, and if you placed your hand on it, it would close the circuit and it would play the sound of that particular mariachi instrument. So because of the pandemic, obviously we're not able to get together in person, and they were going to cancel it. However, I was able to receive some funding through a competition that partners up creatives and researchers and academics together. It was done through the Sigma Psi and Science Talk. And I was paired up with a professor from Texas. And so we came up with a online virtual program to reach the same youth that we usually did in the camp. And we called this COVID Corridos. So it was an online program where we taught the youth how to write songs about COVID to help them deal with the mental health aspects of the pandemic, right? And so again, Romana designed this beautiful loteria type graphic, and that was on the t-shirt. So some of the funds that we got from the SciComm Make Award went to get the t-shirts for the kids. And we have other funds from 4-H Foundation that helped out. Intel donated some USB microphones. We had a couple of Intel folks, engineers, teach the science behind how do you convert analog sound into digital, and how you manipulate that digital sound once you got it recorded on your computer. Again, this is all being done remotely, right? So we were actually teaching them some digital skills, working collaboratively using Google Apps. And here are some of the lyrics that they came up with. So a corrido is a traditional Mexican musical form. It's usually about something dark and bad, catastrophic. And I thought, well, what's more catastrophic than a worldwide pandemic? And so this is what they wrote, and some of them are in English, some of them are in Spanish, some are Spanglish. And here's one's called Virus Surprise, just to kind of give you a sample of what it was. So 2020 took us by surprise, making us fear a new virus on the rise. I know things may seem gloomy. We are stressed, anxious, bored, and lonely. But we'll get through this together, you and me. All will be better. Just wait and see. It will not be for eternity. Pay attention. Be aware. There are people with corona everywhere. Take care of your body, mind, and soul. Wash your hands. Wear a mask. Stay in control. Practice safe physical distancing, staying 6 feet apart. Protect yourself, your family, and your heart. Don't forget to do your part. But we'll get through this together, you and me. All will be better. Just wait and see. It will not be for eternity. So these are the types of emotions that a lot of these kids did not know how to get out there. And so by us being able to give them the tools for them to express themselves and have their voices heard was a very therapeutic way of them dealing with this. Because the youth weren't being affected as much by the virus physically as much as maybe their parents, who many of were essential workers and could not afford to stay home. They still had to keep on working to provide the food for the rest of us, and many worked in the field. So some of them were losing family members. They definitely felt the effect of being isolated and not being able to be with their friends. Some of the seniors did not have a normal graduation, right? And so this was a way of them dealing with that. We were able to get them back together virtually, but they were able to see some of their friends and work with them. And I think that was very important. We also created collaboratively a music video. So this is a song that I had already written prior to the workshop. It's called Año 2020. It's in Spanish, and I sent them a click track. I had them, because we taught them how to record themselves. They recorded their parts individually in their homes using these USB microphones that were donated by Intel. And then they sent me those audio files, and I put them all together, and we did this collaborative music video. So I'd like to play that for you now. It's in Spanish, but there are English translated lyrics on here too. So this is Año 2020.
Hi, I'm a billionaire.
After the commercial.
I'm not a billionaire.
I have access to the $1 billion contemporary
I'm definitely
art
not a billionaire.
Es el año 2020 y lo quiero regresar. Nos llegó el virus COVID, pandemia universal, pero somos inmigrantes, nuestros padres esencial. Trabajando ellos siguieron y el efecto de este virus para algunos fue faltar. Pero seguiré luchando por mi padre y mi madre, por mi hermano y mi hermana, mi familia mexicana. Y un sueño que un día la justicia triunfará y todos nos amemos, todos los humanos, familia universal. Es el año 2020 y lo quiero regresar. Este virus que ha afectado nuestro estado mental, nuestras vidas han cambiado, nuestros planes cancelaron, no podemos soportar este virus que ha afectado en forma muy injusta y desproporcional. Pero seguiré luchando por mi padre y mi madre, por mi hermano y mi hermana, mi familia mexicana. Yo sueño que un día la justicia triunfará y todos nos amemos, todos los humanos, familia universal. Y todos todos nos amemos, todos los humanos, familia universal.
So there you go. Año 2020, a year that will live in infamy. But we did have some good stuff. So as you saw at the very end there's some hashtags. We actually had a couple of ladies that were in the marketing department for Intel also teach the kids about how to set up LinkedIn profiles and how to use social media responsibly and professionally. And we promoted the song and some of the other things that we created online. There was actually a group, one of our counties out Hood River, someone picked it up and they started playing it on the local radio station before they did some nutrition education type stuff during that time. And a local music group in the area learned it and they started playing it around in their area. So we were reaching, folks outside of our area, which was great, a great experience. So Miranda, what are some suggestions you have for agents to be involved in programs such as this if they are not bilingual or of Latinx heritage, but still have a passion to reach the Latino population through arts and creative programming? Believe it or not, if you're dealing with youth, the majority actually are born here in the United States and speak English very well. They may or may not be bilingual, which is very interesting. English is actually many of their first language. So you don't have to speak Spanish. Even if you are dealing with a fully Spanish-speaking community, there are translators. People are just happy for you to reach out and help out. So there's different ways. Look for community groups that are already reaching those populations and work with them. They'd be happy to have you. It's just showing that someone cares and is interested. And to me, music is a universal language. So I also do puppetry. If you can see some of my puppets here. This is Fuego. He's a DEI advocate. He has a passion. He's a luchador libre. So he's got his mask on. He's a freedom fighter. He also loves nachos. And then this was Pedrito Infantil. So little Pedro. But for those of you who know anything about mariachi music, so Pedro Infante was a very famous, popular mariachi, and I had to made him look like him, but I just call him Little Pedro. So infantile Pedro is in Spanish what it translates to, which is very close to Pedro Infante, so Pedro Infantil. I'm actually creating a children's music album that is science-based, space theme, bilingual, called Mariachi on Mars, and he's got a song, so I might play that later on also at the end of this. So that's Mariachi STEAM Camp. We're on to teach Zumba, so it's been a great connector for me with Latino. Yes, Zumba is very popular. We should have someone should make some a little bit different, like merengue or something like that instead of Zumba. Some type of a Latin salsa dance for exercise. Okay, feel free to ask any other questions. Happy to answer anything. So let me find my next program. So that was two programs. That was Mariachi STEAM Camp and COVID Corridos, both of them very much related. This next one is a program that I am involved with, that it's out at the coast. It's Lincoln County, one of our coastal communities in Oregon, and specifically in Newport and Lincoln City, two cities there. This group started getting together just prior to the pandemic, but was just for a few months, and then the pandemic hit. And so we were actually working in collaboration with the local health department, with OSU College of Health, with some of our extension specialists, and some of our community partners. And this group began, it's called Juntos en Colaboración, Together in Collaboration. It's very much community focused, community led. And during the pandemic, we were doing information about COVID and vaccination promotion. So let me see if I can bring that up. I got multiple monitors here, so excuse me. Okay. I'm on a Mac and I have multiple. I think I got like 8 virtual monitors going on right now. So it's a little bit of a juggling act. Hello, Southeast Arizona, Cochise County. Mariachi, yes. Awesome. Good to hear that. Okay, those. I did this presentation at NACDEP. If anyone's familiar with NACDEP, is a National Association for Community Development Extension Professionals. I'm trying to find the presentation here. I was actually thinking that this presentation was on Thursday, so just got a little off guard. That's okay. We'll get it done. I just got to look for that. In the meantime, any other questions, comments? Frustrations. I know it can be frustrating sometimes. All right. Not finding a lot of success on that. However, find. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Bringing it up. Found it. Yes. Okay. Sorry about that. It's Kathy. We have 2 Latino 4-H clubs in our unit and work to introduce more families to our programs. Our Hispanic youth work booths at local events and in schools, introducing the Latino 4-H opportunities. That's great. That's awesome. One thing is sometimes you have to consider with Latino or, you know, underrepresented groups is the traditional 4-H club model doesn't always fit. And the projects that they have also might not be a very good fit. So we have to look for alternative ways of reaching people where they're at. Because you can say, hey, everyone's welcome. That doesn't mean that they're actually feel welcome. We've had students, unfortunately, come to a 4-H state camp on campus and not feel very welcome because of other 4-Hers that were there from. So it's been a challenge. We actually have 4-H migrant camp and a 4-H international camp in the summer where they feel a lot safer because it's their community, right? Okay, so Juntos en Colaboración, let me start that presentation. Here we go. Okay, so as I mentioned before, COVID-19 brought this group together to increase diversity, equity, and inclusion in programs. A little bit about who we are, what we accomplished, timeline, and how we did it. So move this camera out of the way. So this is a little video that we made.
Porque retorcou no sei matzaponjo ou retorcou no sei matzulmelza ou me ou porque chuta
الشيخ beneficio al servicio NGO de programa de que cuando te jugó el 2017 meti vitum el gui al Cheikh programa pero poco a poco tselni te يخلو خنجي disfrutar el Cheikh el servicio entonces شنو قوم Cheikh الكوي.
Hi, my name is Alex Jumikinga. I was born in Ecuador. I moved to the US in the year 2000. Since I moved here, I noticed the presence of a lot of families from Latin America, especially from Mexico. But I noticed the increase of families arriving from Central America in the year 2015. Most of them came from the country of Guatemala. Access to resources has always been a challenge here in this part of the state because many of the families or many of the resources that are for families are not for certain populations. Sometimes, you know, you have the challenges of language, have the challenges of providers that are not bilingual, so or trilingual sometimes. So that increases the many barriers to some of these families here. When COVID hit, that was sort of a wake-up call for everyone in this county. Noticed that many families didn't have the information. They didn't have access to all those resources such as unemployment, such as food, and even to the basic PPE that was provided to the rest of the population.
In 2020, there was a seafood processing plant that had a COVID-19 outbreak that affected many people in the community. And Juntos en Colaboración started in response to that. The reason we came together was because we recognized that there was a need for information in languages other than English about how to get help, where to get COVID tests. And we started to hear stories of people who were trying to reach out for information and calling helplines, speaking the language that they spoke and being hung up on because there was no one on staff to be able to answer their questions in their language.
Many got sick with COVID and some of them still have those. They're still suffering from those symptoms, and we know that families that some of them lost family members. It was a very challenging time.
And so our team quickly gathered. It included extension professionals from several program areas. We also worked closely with our public health department, who was the primarily responsible for the COVID-19 information. We worked with other health partners and a nonprofit called Olala Center. And we recognized that we needed to get communication out. We needed to get information out in the languages that people spoke and through different mechanisms that they were using. So one example is that many people don't write or read. And so we recognized we needed to get information out orally. So we did that through videos and audio files.
Era complicado porque había restricciones, pero teníamos que hablar con los participantes. Tuvimos la fiesta latina donde pudimos traer música, pero también tener vacunas disponibles, información sobre COVID. Era integrar estos eventos donde los participantes se encontraban. Así es que fue una manera de apoyar más la educación. Creo que es una manera muy efectiva de integrar salud con la área cultural, con la área social. Creo que estos componentes van muy bien de la mano.
So again, this is in Lincoln County, Oregon, out on the coast. Just to give you an overview of what it is, it's approximately 50,000 residents, 82% white, 10% Hispanic, Latinx, although that's increasing because of the fishery in the plant there. 25% older adults, major industries is fishery, timber, tourism, and healthcare. As I said, this happened because of the outbreak at the seafood processing plant, and there was language barriers. There was people trying to call the local health phone number and getting hung up on because they didn't have anybody to translate in Spanish for them. So we said, hey, we have to do something about this. And we did, like they said, videos, audio files. We had webinars with professors of health talking about, what is the virus? How does it propagate? How can you try to prevent it? How can you stay healthy? What is vaccines? What's inside of it? Things like that. How can you keep your family safe? There was also, at the same time, there was fires in the area. So people didn't know what to do, where to go. And some people have actually asked, we would like to help our communities prepare for these types of events, catastrophic events in the future. Are we able to get some type of training so we can help out in evacuations? Can we get some fire training, some first emergency training? And so we've been working on that with the local health department and first responders to see what we can do to get this in their language also. This is part of our group here, a lot of folks from Extension as well as community members and folks from the county health department, the city, some of the nonprofits that work with Latino. These are some of our partners from OSU, which is Family and Community Health, SNAP-Ed, Master Gardeners. We've actually had some gardens, public gardens that people can come and grow their own food because they wanted to learn how to do that too. So Extension Small Farms got involved with that. And we've had OSU students. One of the students actually designed our logo, which was awesome. And again, some of the other, the stores. We had some stores that were very integral for us in that we would go, and we would have these clinics at some of these little Mexican stores, because that's where the people congregated. You go where the people are. You don't, a lot of people expect, oh yeah, we have free vaccination, you can come to the hospital. That is not necessary. And they would have it between 8 and 5, and it's like, really? I mean, these people work between 8 and 5. You have to provide stuff during the weekends or in the evenings in order for them to have access to it. So we would have a lot of these clinics and information sessions at the little local Latino stores. So it's all about community engagement. Obviously, the listening, needs assessment, and interactions with them. What is it that they want? Where do they want it? How do they want it? There was a big challenge in getting information, not just in Spanish, but in MUM, because MUM does not have an official written alphabet. There's no written way. There've been people trying to do something phonetically, but traditionally it's just a spoken word. And so even if people received it, they couldn't read the stuff. And so this is why we had to do a lot of, and trying to find MUM interpreters and translators is very, very difficult. Fortunately, we've been able to have 2 of them that we've used. At one point, we did a webinar where we were translating from English to Spanish to MUM, and from MUM to Spanish to English. And we had 6 different translators, each one involved in doing those translations in between that. So very complex, but fortunately, we were able to get people's questions answered. All right. This is some of the different things that we're been involved with. The Fiesta Latina, you saw a picture there. We held that. There was food available. Some of the local caterers that cater with Latino and indigenous Mesoamerican foods, we had them bring food, and we paid for that. And we had music, and this is when we talked to them about COVID and vaccinations. And so it's a very festive type. Though we also went to the county fair and did a vaccination clinic there, but we had people talking about other services that we did. I'll just skip this really quickly because we've already, these are some of the videos that we've done. And having trusted members of the community is very important. So we wanted to make sure that they were hearing these messages from people that they already knew within the community. Those organizations like Olala Center, which already works with the Latino and the MUM community, and having people from those that are native speakers of Spanish and MUM and neighbors giving these messages in order for the people to be trusted, right? To trust the information. Here's some of the numbers about the videos that we put out. What was very interesting is because of those MUM videos, we were getting hits, not just from within the county in Oregon, but outside, all on the western side of the United States, because there's not a lot of MUM information out there. So we were one of the centers where people were getting it across the US on information on COVID and vaccination in the MUM language, which is very fascinating. Taking the clinics outside of the normal 8 to 5, 8 a.m., 5 p.m. time, and also out of the typical, hospital, clinic, whatnot. You went to where the people are. This is an example here at one of the stores, the vaccine on Friday nights at grocery stores, where people would go after work and then get their food and maybe cash their paycheck. And so they got information. Hey, while you're here, have a taco, have a burrito, and have a vaccine. So it worked out very well to the point, and I think this county had one of the highest vaccination rates of any county in Oregon. This is one of the vaccine clinics that we had, Fiesta Latina, and Alex there is one of our community members from the Olala Center, and you saw him in the video. Great guy. He's one of our representatives that we collaborate with on many, many different projects. These were previous OSU students, now they're actually working for health groups. One is working for OSU and the College of Health, and the other one's working for another health organization. But they all helped us out creating that. So I'm just going to pass this really quick. This is the one what we did out at the fair, the Lincoln County Fair, and we had a fiesta. We had popsicles and paletas, tamales that were done by local vendors, and we supported that. So they get a vaccine and they get free food. Arcoiris Cultural is a center that was created at Olala Center. So now we have a cultural center in Lincoln County where people can come to events that we did. I've actually done a workshop for youth, K through 12, mainly middle school students that I worked with, introducing drones and how to fly drones and how drones are used in research and the science and technology and engineering behind drones. And I did it all in Spanish with kids whose main language was Spanish. So they were very appreciative of that. Those are the types of events we are due, because now we have a cultural center that came as part of this group. And they have celebrations, Cinco de Mayo celebrations out there. They recently had one for National Hispanic Heritage Month also. Food access. How much time we got left? Ooh, just about 8 minutes. As I said, we had some community gardens that were set up. There was actually a couple of community gardens that were in disarray and nobody was using it. So we took those over and we created another new one. And we had community members come and build some of these they couldn't find in the stores here that were from their original native lands. And so we were able to help them with some of that. Some of the that appointment of that person was because of a direct result of what we did here. Increased interpretation at health appointments and other services, 3 community gardens established in 2 communities, expanded outreach in Spanish and Mom BioC extension programs, master gardeners, small farms, nutrition education, and 3 cultural festivals that brought the community together. Oh, I'm not going to go into all this academic stuff because it's the boring thing. Let's see what else. Oh, we also gave awards, and recognition was very great for the people that helped us out. So these are the people at the vendor, some of the vendors and the stores where we went, and recognizing their contribution and their efforts in this. It's very, very important to let them know that they are appreciated and they're part of this community and helping out their communities. So you can see they're holding an award, and these, well, we have a director's coin, which is a special coin that we give to a lot of faculty and staff that, but we're also now giving that to community members. Let's see. That's it on that presentation. I have just something really quick, and let me check the, okay. Yes. Been involved in multicultural affairs, facilitated 2 programs in partnership with Latino Resource Center from nearby university. Programs were directed toward families and presented in Spanish. Very well received. Another college program will be held this fall at Community College. Introduce families to the Office of Undocumented Students, as well as many other help things. Yes, voice is cutting off. I'm sorry. I should have seen that earlier. Got to get this microphone a little bit closer. One last thing. Viva Veggie Vida. So there was some mini grants that were done through Family Community Health, and I am not a nutrition specialist, but I am vegetarian, and I saw the grant and I said, I'm going to partner up with someone from FCH. And I wanted to make a series of videos on vegetarian versions of Latino foods. Um, so we came up with 5 different recipes. We filmed it. I still don't have the videos finished, but we were able to get all of our recipes passed through peer review and put up on the Food Hero website in Spanish and English. And what was very important for me is that we started in Spanish, not English, and then translate that to Spanish, right? Secondhand, which is the way a lot of things happen. We started in Spanish and then translated that into English for people who, didn't speak Spanish, might want information about that. In these videos, we had people that are fully bilingual. Myself, I had a puppet, I had a parrot puppet and an abuelita puppet. And we talked with one of community member was the one that did the tamale recipes, right? And so it's, to me, basic thing: representation. You have to see people who are like you, who speak like you, who have your experience doing this programming effort more than anything else. And whatever we can do to get there, cost what it costs. That's really bottom line. That's what's going to give you the biggest impact. So really quickly, Food Hero. Let me show you one of the most popular recipes. It's vegetarian ceviche. Ceviche is kind of like a seafood dish. And you can find all of these on our foodhero.org website. We're hoping to have some of the videos up for, especially the one for tamales, for December, which is a very popular season for tamale making. All right, let's share screen really quickly here. Oh, there's the vegetarian tamales right there. I'll click on that. Yeah, healthy vegetarian tamales. We actually use potatoes, carrots, zucchini, peppers, instead of the meat. So there's the recipe for that. Let me find the ceviche. We also tried to introduce some new ingredients. There's one that was using quinoa. Here's the ceviche, which this stuff is absolutely delicious as a cold salad type. It's got lime or lemon, some avocado. The main ingredient is actually cauliflower to get you the texture that you usually have with the seafood. So I will put this in chat so you get a chance to try that out.
Victor, as we wrap up, I just wanted to make sure we have one more question that maybe need to be answered. Rachel is going to be starting meetings with youth, and she was using this session to brainstorm topics. But if you had any ideas for meeting topics other than introductions, and Rachel, if you want to expand on that, please.
Yeah, Rachel, if you can unmute, I'd love to hear from you directly. You there?
Sorry, I had to figure out how to unmute myself there.
No problem.
So we noticed that there's a population of Latinos and Latinas that is like in our southern area of our county.
Okay.
And we're trying to figure out how to include them into things. And we only saw like maybe 5 youth from that area that's currently in our clubs. So we're trying to figure out how to tap into that. And we've tried talking to like the local vendors, but as soon as like certain times of the year happens, it seems like they tend to disappear and they go somewhere else. So we don't know if it's just, when there's business around, they're here. So we're just trying to figure out ways to help them out while they're in our county.
Right. Yeah, because some of them could be migrant, right, workers,
Yeah.
so which are only there during certain parts of the season. Um, which is why the club model doesn't really work. And so you
Yeah.
have to do smaller things. I do workshops, some of them as
Mhm.
short as, just a 1 hour workshop. And, but you do multiple touch points, right? Uh, do a summer camp, do a week-long thing. Don't expect to have a 6 month or a year commitment.
Mhm.
It's, for the most part, it's not going to happen unless you do it through a school or whatnot. Uh, Working with communities, you can do events, and that's probably the best way to reach them. So uh, we used to have a soccer camp, which was very
Mhm.
popular. Uh, go to where those people are. Go to the soccer fields on a weekend and promote there. That's where you'll find people. Go to the
Yeah.
stores. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's, you got to go where the people are at and ask them what is it that they want.
Mhm.
Many times we're going and pushing what and saying this is what you need, and just like, why, who are we to tell them what they need? I mean, I think we should go and build relationships first, the trust. Why were we
Mhm.
able to do the things we did in Lincoln County? Because we were reaching ahead of time, right before COVID hit.
Yeah.
COVID kind of just gelled everything together, but we wouldn't have been successful if we hadn't already reached out to those communities before time. And doing that needs assessment, and just showing that you care, being there. It has to be community guided, right? Community led. Have a voice. They have to have a voice in what the educational programming is. And it might not be stuff that we have. So that's okay. We can put them in contact with other folks. And we do that, more of that facilitator role. So, ooh, looks like I froze. Or am I back?
Yeah, I can still see and hear you.
Okay, cool. Because I have had some internet issues recently, but that's about it. I had one or other two things I wanted, but I think this was plenty. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to put my contact information. Best way is either LinkedIn. So I'll put my LinkedIn profile here, and then I'll also there we
Victor,
go.
do you know when to anticipate the videos will be ready and available on the website?
A good question. That was the videos were tricky. Now I might not have more than just one. I think the tamale ones, again, we're shooting for like December, because that's, or November, December, that's tamale making season. So that would be a good one. It was quite a bit of a challenge because I had a team that wasn't used to doing videos or being in front of a camera. So that's one of the lessons we learned, but we did, because of the grant, receive some equipment and the puppet. And so we're looking to possibly do some other programming with those items that we now have. Right. So it was a test, and I'm glad that we at least did get those 5 recipes up there, which was not an easy task. Let me tell you, when you're trying to do stuff through SNAP-Ed or FCH, and you have all of these regulations from USDA and NIFA with ingredients that are not approved. Our Native American extension folks trying to get stuff such as nettle, ingredients with nettle, or recipes with nettle in it approved, it's almost near impossible. And it took us so long to do the videos that, because we had to get everything approved ahead of time, it was not easy. So sodium is extremely hard. I agree. And I think when working with our communities, we can't be so strict about some things. We are trying to get people to eat healthier, not healthiest, at least not just yet, right? And you can't go from 0 to 100 and expect people to change. You have to kind of take them by steps gradually. And so to me, some healthy change is better than no change at all. But it seems to be that USDA NIFA has this all or nothing approach. doesn't work for our communities, unfortunately. So last thing I'll say, and this is me getting on my preaching horse, but I am not a specialist. I'm not part of 4-H. I'm not part of SCH. I'm not a agent, extension agent. And yet I've been able to collaborate and do a lot of this programming thanks to the foresightedness and vision of our extension admin folks, right? So thank you and kudos to them. I also don't have a 4-year degree, so I'm not able to do a lot of this stuff officially. But if I can partner with other people that do, then I'm able to get some programming out. That's how I've been able to do it. If you really, truly want to get representation, I think we have to consider people like myself, which 80% of us Latinos do not have a 4-year degree. Many do have a 2-year degree. And for a lot of public facing stuff, I think that should be something to take a look at. There's plenty of us that have experience, fully bilingual, fully bicultural, passionate about what we do and reaching to educate. But because of our background, we might not have the paperwork, but the experience is there. So just look at those hiring decisions and know that there's many of us that would be happy to help if we were given that chance. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you for the opportunity to share some of the passionate programming that we've been able to put out. Again, feel free to reach out either through LinkedIn or through my OSU profile there. Have a good rest of your week, and happy Hispanic Heritage Month for the rest of this until October 15, right? So, adios. Que tengan un buen día.